Welcome to Now, Near, and the Future with Naila and Quinn Harrington. A podcast that's part crystal ball, part microscope, and part rocket ship.
Reality television didn't just give us a new genre. It taught a whole culture how to perform identity for camera. And our guest today is one of the people who built that machine.
And then quietly walked out of the building and started telling a very different kind of story.
Welcome to Now, Near, and the Future. I'm Quinn Harrington.
And I'm Naila here from rainy London. And today's guest is Emmy-winning executive producer and showrunner Tom Shelly. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome to Now, Near, the Future. We are so excited to have you. Where about in California are you calling us from?
I am calling from Encino, California, up in the valley. So just north of Los Angeles.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, before we get started into the fun stuff, let's go around the room for a minute.
Around the room.
Starting with you, Naila. What's up with you in London this week?
As I just said, it's raining. We had nice sun a week ago, 2 weeks, but we've now hit this patch of cold rain and we're back at 15 degrees rather than 28 degrees. So that's keeping me going. I came back from a holiday, which was a 4-day holiday.
Did you go to
but that's just
Portugal?
I went Geneva.
Oh, Geneva.
Yeah, and then we stepped over to Annecy, which is a little town in France. It's supposed to be the Venice of France. And then we did 1 day in Rome. So it was hectic without my kid. So I came back quickly.
Nice. That's one of the great things about living in Europe is you're only like 2 hours from, anything. So 2 hours from Tom is like the desert, basically.
Or downtown, depending on traffic.
Yes, 2 hours. Like I can get to LA and, London's like I can get to, Hamburg on a train. So,
what about you?
What am I up to? It's Pride Month. And so there's lots of activities. I'm on the LGBT spectrum. So just trying to get out there and take advantage of those things. And I'm also planning a 4th of July party to celebrate America's 250th birthday.
Oh, nice. You like
What about you,
parties,
Tom?
don't you?
What's on your desk?
Oh, what's on my desk? A lot of development, as we say. Just trying to get a lot of different things off the ground and get things sold. That's what everybody's doing out here in Hollywood now. Is trying to sell stuff, which has gotten harder and harder. And other than that, just enjoying the weather's been nice out here, nice and 70s and sunny as it always is out here.
Excellent.
It's a little warm.
Yeah.
Well, great. I'm going to kick it off to you, Naila, because we're moving into the now segment, and you're taking the lead. The bio brand turn.
Now.
I know. Interesting stuff. And I think I'm going to learn a lot. So I'm not a producer. So they're going to be terms that I may not understand. I may ask what they mean. But Tom, I heard you're in this interesting moment and you spent 2 decades inside unscripted television. And now your current stay is scripted features about women who became brands that outlived them, like Brownie Wise or Ronnie Spector. I want to start there. First, unscripted versus scripted television, maybe for viewers who don't know what that really means. And then why these two women, why now, and why are scripted features, why scripted feature instead of unscripted? What's the shift?
Yeah, well, I going back a little bit to what I was always interested in was movies. I was always a movie geek. I loved going to the movies. I loved watching movies on TV. And I went to film school, came out here to California, got my master's in the USC Film School because I wanted to get into making movies. And
Mhm.
uh, my first job out of college just happened to be this new show that was an unscripted show. I guess we would call it unscripted back then. That term didn't really exist, and reality TV didn't exist. But there was this show called America's Most Wanted that
Yeah.
hired me. Uh, and so I started working in that. It was, I guess you would call it a reality show. But like I said, that term didn't exist back then. And then through that, I met different people and got hired for different things and more in the documentary world. And then I got hired to work on this show that I heard about that was called Survivor. And then Survivor, when it did well here in the United States and it went on, you kind of in this business, you get pulled in that direction and that's now your career. And so I I always wanted to get into feature films, which are, the movies that you go see in a movie theater. There are scripts.
Yeah, that's
You're
my
not
dream
watching real
too.
people. What's that?
That's my dream too, is feature-length film one day.
There you go. So getting in, I've always wanted to do that. And then it's just, like you said, it's been 20, 25 years working in reality. And I just thought, I still want to try and make a go of the scripted films. And I thought,
Mhm.
how can I segue into that? Because it's very compartmentalized out here. If you're not in scripted, it's tough to get into it. And so I thought, well, I can pitch myself as the reality person. Why don't I find some real stories about real people? And that's where I came across the Brownie Wise story. And then later the Ronnie Spector story. And I was able, through a partner, to get the rights to those stories, to some books that were written, and use that to get into the business. So if you have a property, as we call it, which is a book or a script or something like that, that's a good way to get into the business. So it's something I've always wanted to do, and that's kind of why the shift happened. And I just thought, okay, if not now, when? So why not give it a try?
Well, I think that's awesome. And if you see what's going on with Naila, she has a 2-year-old, and she just needs a little mommy time.
Of
And
course.
doesn't care that there's a podcast going on right now. So
No,
she's adorable. Oh, there we go. Daddy took her, and she's probably yelling and wailing. So you can turn the mute off, Naila.
Did you hear
Oh,
her?
I do. She is so
God.
mad.
It's like
those are the moments we look for in reality TV. You look for those kind of great
we're doing
little
it.
moments.
We're casting right now for your next show. So
That's right.
Oh
I
my
want that
God.
stuff to happen.
It's like, there was on BBC once, this journalist or some MP, government guy was talking, and his whole family was slipping in, crawling on the ground, live on television.
Oh,
Now
I've
I'm
seen
going
that.
red in my
I've seen
face.
that.
yeah, that's hilarious. Tell us a
Reality
little bit about the
TV.
Steel Mill.
Yes.
Well, Steel Mill it's just me. That's my company, but it's my loan out company. Here in the business, when you get hired to do a job like me as a showrunner, they're not hiring me, they're hiring my business, which is just me. It's me and my wife. And
Yes.
it's just my my independent contractor company. It's not like I have a big production company or anything. And
Right.
Steel, it's spelled funny because there's an extra E at the end of Steel, but that's my middle name. That was my mom's maiden name.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
But I get lots of emails literally from manufacturing companies, from steel companies, inquiring about my business. And I'm like,
Yes, I'd like
I
to
was
build
about
a
to say.
galvanized steel building. How much will that cost me?
seriously, I get those all the time. I guess they
I
thought I
got
could
confused when
misspelled it. Yeah, a lot of
that's the
people do.
first thing I thought. Yeah, exactly. We were like the scripted, unscripted, and I don't know how much we can talk more about the work you're doing, but the topic we just talked about, which was about you're focusing or working with women who outlived their brand.
Mhm.
So I wonder, how does a person become a brand that gets outlived after they go? And as a producer, what's your responsibility when that subject is no longer alive to push back on? How do you work with the content?
Well, in terms of those two women specifically, Brownie Wise and Ronnie Spector, I mean, really, what I think is interesting about their stories is that both of them have the same kind of theme of these were women who really created something in conjunction with some male partners, business partners, and in one case, in Ronnie Spector's case, she actually married the guy, and their brands and their talents took off, and then the men who they were working with didn't like that they were doing so well and destroyed their careers. To me, that was a really an interesting story, in that it asked the question to me, like, who really creates something that's successful? Is it one person? No, it's usually a collaboration with people, and
Right, it's a team.
Yeah, and so it was interesting to me to explore that, and so those two ladies, I mean, look, I don't know what their secrets were other than they were extremely talented, and
Mm.
I just, to me, I feel like there's a timeless message there, or something to explore at least, that's still very relevant, and I mean, that's all I can hope to do is tell those stories, or at least one of those stories, and hopefully it means something to people, and it does carry on their legacy and their brand.
Yeah. I
So,
love such
for those of
stories.
us that don't know who Brownie Wise is, give us. I think most people
Yeah.
know who Ronnie Spector is, but
Yeah.
what's Brownie Wise's story?
Brownie Wise was I guess you would call her the co-creator of Tupperware. There was a
Oh, that's right.
guy
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy named Earl Tupper who was the person who was an inventor, and he's the one who actually created the physical product, the containers. And he couldn't sell them. He would put them in stores, and people just walk right by them. And I think he invented it. He claims he invented it based on the paint can, the sealing, the way
Mhm.
that the lids on paint cans seal. Uh, but he couldn't sell them. And then off to the side, Brownie Weiss on her own was buying these things because she had a background in party sales. I think she sold, I can't remember the company, whether it was the Fuller Brush Company or one of these companies, that they would go door to door, but they would also hold parties and
Mhm.
sell their products that way. So she started selling these things on her own to make money at parties. And then she kept ordering more and more and more, to the point where Earl Tupper noticed and said, "Well, who are you? How are you? What are you doing with these?" And she
Mhm.
showed him and explained the party system. And he partnered up with her, basically. And that's when it all took off, when the whole party system of, like, inviting people over and having a Tupperware party, which was very big back in the
Mhm.
50s, 60s, and 70s. And uh, then, she as the product grew and as she moved up the ranks, there became this sort of tug and war of, uh, over who was the face of Tupperware.
Right.
And it was at that point that Earl felt, oh, that Brownie had flown a little too close to the sun. She felt that he wasn't giving her the proper recognition, and because she didn't have a contract at that time, he just terminated her. So she got
Oh,
nothing. She left at the end, and Earl Tupper sold the company and bought an island somewhere and moved away. So it's
oh,
it's a it's an inspirational but tragic story at the same time. One that I think there's definite messages in there.
Well, you've
that
gotta
is.
have a story arc in there, and it sounds like that's pretty Sam one, not to mention that it also kind of launched, like, the whole Mary Kay phenomena,
Yeah,
and, eventually all
Avon.
these Avon, all these, MLM, companies, selling everything from vitamins to, you know, tchotchkes.
yeah. Yeah, I remember my
Yeah.
mom used to go to those Tupperware parties when I was a kid. They'd be around the neighborhood.
Yeah, my
I
my
haven't
ex
been
used
to
to do
one.
Pampered Chef, parties at the house,
Oh.
and she bought most of it, and I'm just like,
Really?
"Are we really making any money, or are we just breaking even here?"
Oh, um, I at least now understand the story because Quinn, I was telling you, there was a few years back, well, 10 years back, I went to a comedy show and it was about the Tupperware lady. And now I know
Yeah.
the story behind it. Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Reminds me a bit of like Beverly Hills. What's it called? The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, when they have their parties and they're selling the bags and the reality TV. I don't watch reality TV as much as I watch autobiographies and real stories, which you're talking about. But my friend is
Yeah.
crazy about it. And she
Yeah, me on the other hand, I can't get
subscribed.
enough of it.
Really?
Yeah,
You subscribe just for that?
Discovery Channel. Yeah. I mean, that's,
Shark Week.
I've watched. Yes.
I love documentaries as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not so much into the romance ones. I've
Yeah.
watched a few of them, but I'm just like, I don't know. I've watched The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, and all this. So I was like, I don't know. It doesn't have that authenticity that, say, like Deadliest Catch had back in when that came out in 2005. So I've watched all 21 seasons of that.
Yeah, there's different ways to produce reality TV and unscripted TV, and I am kind of the school that you let the people. They're going to create the drama for you. Their stories are going to be far more interesting than anything you can come up with. And so there are some shows that are kind of designed, and some producers that they try and make things happen. They they feel like they've got to have their thumbs on the scale to make stories happen. The stories that I like to do are the ones where you don't do that. It's we in the documentary world of this all comes from cinema verite and direct cinema, which is basically fly on the wall. You don't interfere. You just film things. And I've done some relationship shows, and my goal with those is always, can we really bring people together? Can we find some relationships? And I did a show, Love in the Wild, where we actually we got, I think, 4 marriages out of it with kids, and the people are still together and have kids and everything. And so that's what I prefer. I feel like when the producers are too heavily involved, like you said, it doesn't ring as true. And again, I just think you're closing the door to some really interesting stuff, because they'll always come up with better stories than you could as a producer.
Well, Pepper, and you worked with her on America's Most Wanted, right?
Yep.
So
known Pepper for a long time.
Pepper told me, because I have this like crazy fantasy about starting a graphic design reality show that's part competition with college students. So yeah, there's a competition part of it, but evolving over their last semester at college, I want to like document like the evolution of them, like going from college students to becoming ready to enter the real world. And she told me, she's like, well, the most important thing is casting.
Yeah.
You've got to really find interesting people. And I was like, well, I can't think of a weirder group of a more eclectic group of people than graphic designers. I mean, we're all kind of like a bit nerdy and eccentric and, sometimes dramatic and sometimes shy. So,
Yeah. Well, what you're describing is what we call a follow doc, meaning a follow documentary, where you're not creating a competition for them to win or something. You're just, shooting you're filming them in their everyday lives and kind of, seeing the stories that come out of that. And that, yes, especially when you're creating a show like that, it all comes down to the cast. And the network, the streamers will demand to see the cast that you have before they greenlight it. So yeah, especially with those kind of shows. Now, if you have a competition show, it becomes more about the format. Like, okay, how does it work? What are the rules? How does each episode end? What's the big payoff at the end of each episode? Does somebody get voted out? All that kind of stuff. So that can be, and then the casting can come later after the show has been picked up and greenlit. But yeah, what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's definitely a competition element to it, because, I've watched like 1,000 Food Network competitions. And so one day I'm sitting on my garage porch and I'm just like, I was watching, I think, Gordon Ramsay's show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just
Which
like,
one? He has a lot.
Maybe it was Top Chef.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but I'm just watching this dynamic, personality and, him yelling at people and stuff like that. And I was like, this reminds me of my early days in advertising when you would, have creative directors, yell and scream at you because you made a mistake or, your designs or concepts weren't up to snuff. And I was just like, if they can do it, we can do it too. I mean, because that's the reality. Not so much anymore, but it
No.
was back in the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
Love Island over here,
Oh,
and
yeah.
people are
Huge success.
crazy. I watched it one season, and that was the season I think most people got really famous. But I hear people say, "Oh, I want to go on Love Island," and they're trying to fit the bill, and their whole life with, "I'm gonna get this surgery," and that. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is
Yeah.
crazy for me."
Yeah. It's very big here too. It's
Oh, it is.
young. Oh, yeah. The American version is they have an American version, and
it's huge.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking
both
at
my
the
daughters watch it.
the Nielsen ratings because we do a lot of work for Nielsen, and so the ratings on there that are off the chart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm an adjunct professor at a university where I teach a reality class, and all the students talk about Love Island.
Oh my God. I have lots more to ask in that part. I think where we've got some segment after this where we're going to go into a bit of the not, things that you have to worry about with, reality TV and
Mm.
what can go wrong. But I'll hold those questions for the later one.
Sounds good. Well, now's a great time to properly introduce our guest.
Near.
Yes.
Today's guest is Emmy-winning executive producer and showrunner Tom Shelly. He started out directing for America's Most Wanted, co-directed the making of documentary for Mel Gibson's Braveheart, and was one of the original pioneering producers on Survivor, where he won a Primetime Emmy, earned 5 more nominations, and ran the show as EP and showrunner for 8 seasons. He's since launched series for ABC, NBC, Fox, and Facebook Watch, including Dating in the Dark, Love in the Wild, and Coupled. Though through his company, Steel Mill Productions, he's now developing a scripted features with CBS Studios and A24, including a Brownie Wise biopic starring Sandra Bullock and a Ronnie Spector biopic with Zendaya.
Zendaya. Nice.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zendaya.
Great. So, Tom, I want to back us up to the form itself. Survivor went on air in 2000, Deadliest Catch in 2005, the iPhone arrived in 2007. Between those two moments, something happened to how people present themselves, and you had a front row seat. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, like you said, this was before Survivor. When we first went on the air in 2000, it was really before social media, and it was like we didn't know it was going to be the success that it was, and I was just a hired hand. I just came on as a producer, and all I wanted to do was tell interesting stories because I had gone to film school and I was interested in certain kinds of documentaries, the history of fly on the wall documentaries and cinema verite and that stuff. And I just thought, this is cool. This is a way for the American public to see this kind of filmmaking or television. And when it took off, then the seasons after that for the casting, yes, there was a phenomenon of people thinking, oh, I can become a star this way. I can be an instant star if I go on this reality show. Now, luckily, we got pretty good at weeding those people out because that's not what we wanted for the show. And again, we didn't know anything about social media and what was to come. We wanted people who were really in it for the game, and because those are the people that were going to give the best stories.
Right.
The people who came on just to become famous usually burned out, and they didn't really get into playing the game. So we got pretty good at through the casting process of weeding those people out. But I did notice at the time that the shows would air And then there were all kinds of sites that would comment about the show online, and the people could be so cruel to the cast. And I would get calls
Yeah.
all the time from the cast just distressed that, did you see what they wrote about me on this one obscure site? And I was like, don't read that stuff. But it kind of, it definitely made me feel like there's something here that's not, that can be a little touchy and a little dangerous with this totally unregulated people just commenting and going on and saying what they want. And then, as social media happened, then it's sort of everything kind of that idea of wanting to become famous on reality TV, which people still want to do, but
Of
now it's all
course.
shifted to social media. And it's something that's we're very aware of when we cast these shows, that trying to find the people, trying to sort of weed out those people who are just on it to just get famous, because the truth is they don't necessarily, there's very few cases of people who go on to have any kind of career in entertainment or anything after
Yeah, I mean, short of like
reality.
American Idol or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the interesting
Yeah.
thing is now there are people, not so much necessarily social media stars themselves, but creators, the people who are creating short form videos and that kind of thing, they are starting to, break into the business in a very big way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple movies that came out here. One of them recently, Back Rooms, is huge. It's the biggest movie that the highest grossing movie that the studio A24 has ever made, and it's
Okay.
based on a YouTube creator's his short films that he did on YouTube. So you're
Yeah.
seeing now
I mean,
how reality TV kind of like weaved into this, but
weaving in.
yeah.
Yeah. And
I
some
mean,
of them
take a
are
look at
getting
We didn't
more.
know anything about social media when we started.
I mean, take a look at Mr.
Yeah.
Beast.
Yep.
I
That's another
know.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. On Britain's Got Talent, I was watching the finals yesterday. One of the judges is a YouTuber, and
Mm.
he's now one of the judges on Britain's Got Talent. And you've got all these influencers and social media people who are coming in movies, and it's just going famous for singing. So you're getting singers out of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling all that hoping to become a star is now shifting away from reality TV into social media. I think
It is.
many people are hoping, to make it big in social
Every
media.
11-year-old wants to be a social media influencer and star.
I know,
And
my
I'm like,
13-year-old, she can't wait to get a YouTube account. And speaking of,
Yeah.
we're going to pause for a second because she's actually talking and I can hear her in my microphone, so hang on.
Okay.
we can go on about reality, and I think I'm just too old school. I haven't got there yet. I'm talking like with my husband, the 2-year-old. I'm like, all these kids shows, like Natsia, she has like 200 million subscribers, and she started
Yeah.
when she was 3 years old. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
All right, what'd I miss?
I was talking about like Natsia, who's a 14-year-old girl. Her dad and mom started her mainly to record her journey because she had some kind of issue. I don't know what it was. They were documenting that, but they just blew up, and now she's got 200 million subscribers, and I don't know. It's a whole business. They made a business.
Yeah. And these people, these young people, they're very sophisticated at how they put
they are.
things
I mean, they
together
really
to-
understand the technology and the
Yeah.
algorithms and
Yep.
what breaks through and all that. So it's
It's a lot of
It's a-
work, actually. It's a lot to figure out those how to expose yourself and get those followings and everything. It's you really got to.
yeah, we're still trying to figure that out, Tom. We launched this podcast about a year and a half ago. We're on episode 17 or 18. And when we initially started this, because I've been producing videos for like 20 years. So I was like, how hard could it be? And then I realized it's like, okay, we have to have new technology. We've got to get microphones and, streamcasters and lights and backgrounds. And that's just the producing part of it. And then it's like, how do you get people to listen to it?
Yeah.
pushing it out on social and doing our best and just waiting for our breakout moment. So maybe this will be it.
Yes.
Yeah, the big struggle is how to get people to even know you exist and your
Mhm.
product
Yes.
exists out there. It's a whole it's
Yeah, and it almost doesn't matter how good it is. It's
no, yeah.
like you gotta get
You gotta
people to
drive people to it somehow.
Yes, absolutely. Well, when we figure it out, we'll let you know.
Good, thank you.
Have you ever done anything like a podcast or,
No, I've never
no?
you mean like created one? No,
Right.
haven't done that. I have some friends or a friend who's an editor who created a YouTube channel with some just
Mhm.
funny little content, and he actually did a pretty good job at getting it going right away, but he, has a full-time job, and I think he got kinda busy and just couldn't see it through, but, no, I've never done the most I've done is I've created a website, and
Mhm.
and then I started looking into, like, "Hey, how do I get people to even know it exists?" And I kinda gave up. It's like,
Well, I
this
mean,
is
if
a
you
full-time job.
just do a Google search for Tom Shelly, the first person that comes up is a famous footballer. I don't know if you ever Googled yourself
Oh.
before. So, and then I was like, Tom Shelly producer, and then it's just like 100
Yeah,
pages of
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
content. So
yeah.
I think you're well known out there. I don't know.
Well,
You don't even need a website. But are
uh,
you on social? Do you do like Instagram and stuff?
not as much as I should. Not as much as I
Yeah.
should. I do I do I'm on Facebook or Meta or whatever, but I don't do
Mhm.
I occasionally I do Instagram and that, but not like I should. I don't work social media the way I probably should. Only
Well,
because
you
I feel like when these things happen, if they have this big of an impact on our lives, then okay, I need to know about what this is. I need to understand
Mhm.
Mhm.
what's happening, and that's why I like teaching the college class because I learn from my students a lot of things that I didn't know, are going
True.
on in terms of social media or even film production and how this business is kind of moving forward.
Yeah, don't even get me started on AI.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
my
well
God.
then there's that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is there even gonna be, a need for us in 5 years? They're
yeah,
already producing feature-length films with
yeah.
AI, but I have
Well,
discovered that we've done a few, corporate videos that are
mhm,
fully AI, and, it is not as easy as people make it seem, like, continuity of character, continuity of scenes,
yeah,
it's AI detail, when you start trying to look at things when you're looking on your phone, it's barely noticeable, but when you're looking on a big screen or even on your, 65-inch TV, you start seeing all this stuff that just takes you out of the moment and,
like the
it's like, "What am I watching
people
here?"
have 11 fingers and stuff like that.
It's not
Yes.
quite as bad as it used to be. I mean, usually it's 5 fingers, 5 toes, but occasionally you'll get, like, you know, weird arm movements, and especially when you start getting, like, multiple people in a scene, then AI really starts to struggle with all that. We were talking with, our friend Britt McTammany, um, who is, good friends with Pepper and I, and, he's dabbled into it a little bit, and, you know, I just don't think that he just really even wants to go down that road. I mean,
Yeah.
we still all wanna shoot, like, real live productions.
Yeah.
We don't wanna use
Yeah.
stock, we don't wanna use AI, we wanna do real productions, but a lot of times our clients are just don't have the budget or the time for it, and so they're like, "Just go this way because it's easier," and I'm like, "Is it
No.
Well,
really?"
uh, I think it's for me, I think AI is one of those things. It's like I said, when something becomes this big and it's part of our world now. Like I tell younger people, look, it's here. It is happening. So what you need to do is learn how to harness it. And I know
Yeah.
a lot of people are saying that these days, but you really do. You need to understand this thing. And maybe there are. My hope is that the unions, the acting unions, the directing unions, the writing unions, all those people put in the protections for at least
Right,
big studio films and the bigger streaming films, that kind of thing, that protect that disallow, AI in that very human creative process. there are elements of AI that can be very useful in production in terms of, like on Survivor. We used to shoot, I can't remember what our shoot ratio was. It was like 175 to 1, which meant for every 175 hours of footage we shot, we would edit that down into 1 hour. So that's an enormous
Holy crap.
of media and footage to go through. Well, I believe one of the biggest uses of AI is data search. So if you're looking for a shot, say when we're editing a show together, if the editors would say, okay, I need a shot of the sun setting over the ocean with this one cast member looking out at the water. Well, you would have to go, an assistant editor has to go look through all the footage and try and find that. If you've got AI doing that search for you, that's instant. And you're still going to need the assistant editor because they have a lot of other jobs to do. So that to me makes sense. It's like, okay, that just made this editor's life easier. It's not taking away anybody's job. And he's the editor, still the one doing the creative, putting it together.
Right. And he or she can be more productive doing.
Yeah. So I think there are ways to use this, and yes, there just need to be the protections too. Of it's not going to take away the creative human process. And everything I've seen with AI, it doesn't substitute that AI process, at least not yet.
Right.
You can just tell it's like something's not quite right here.
Also, I mean, I don't want to watch anything that has AI and it's not human. And now you come across all the social media and they're selling products and they're making these ads and you can tell it's AI.
Yeah.
It's actually having a negative impact on how I think and consumer. I don't want to buy a product that's an AI person talking about it. I need someone real. So I think people need to be a bit more careful of what the person is perceiving from what you're generating. Yeah,
I would say that's
I think
true.
audiences are very savvy. They can tell. I mean, I can certainly tell.
I think that's true of our generation, but when you think about the digital generation, my 13-year-old and eventually your 2-year-old, when they grow up and they live in a world of, video games and, Roblox and artificial worlds, I just begin to wonder, will they even care?
True.
We
Maybe
had
their new normal.
We had Elena Wiss, who is one of our famous voice actresses, was talking to us about what was going on with the SAG-AFTRA negotiations and building in those AI protections. She even made me sign a contract that said I wouldn't use her voice to, model anything. And I was like, well, no, I advocate for hiring you. Why would I want to put you in an LLM and then start faking your voice? I mean, because you're really good. But she was telling me that in a lot of cases, especially in the corporate world, human created content, whether it be voice, film, whatever, is almost become like a luxury item.
Yeah, I can see that to some extent. I mean, one of the ways that we try and in my business, we try and sell our shows to distributors and streamers and broadcasters is we have to create a pitch deck, and we also have to create a sizzle reel usually, which means like a little 3 or 4 minute sort of showing. It's just a short film, just kind of showing what this show could be. And in the past, a lot of these things are narrated. You have voiceover a lot of times. And in the past, you would have to hire somebody to do the voiceover. And sometimes it meant you had to rent a recording booth. Now, pretty much everybody they can record from home. But it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of expense just to do something speculative that you're hoping will sell. And so I can see where, okay, I can replace that large expense and inconvenience of having to hire somebody just to do the voiceover for my sizzle reel that I want to use to try and sell my show. Now you can do that all on AI. You don't.
Yeah, 11 Labs has gotten really, really good at more general types of narration. You want a Morgan Freeman sounding voice?
Yeah.
They got it. It's
and
amazing.
some actors are embracing that. Some actors are like, okay. And they're making they're
Really?
cutting deals to like,
Mhm.
go ahead and use my voice, but just, I get paid.
Yeah, make sure
Royalty.
I get
Yeah.
compensated,
Yeah.
even if
Yeah.
it's less. It's sort of like you're creating the stock photography version of your voice, which is
Yeah,
something I like.
exactly.
All right, we ran a little long on this segment, but I did want to ask you one more question about editing as the moment reality TV actually happens. What gets left on the floor that you still think about? Because, like you said, for every 1 hour of, it's like 175 hours of recorded footage. Like, are there any moments that you wish could have made it into Survivor
Oh,
or any of these series? Like, just kind of
yes.
thinking a little bit about that process, like, because it's brutal. And, I always tell my, junior designers and editors, I was like, we may have spent, 20 hours shooting this scene. And if it doesn't really fit the narrative in the end, it's gone. And you just got to let go of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure thinking back, I don't remember all the answers, but that every episode is like that. You're always trying to, what we do is really, it's not like you're creating stories. You're trying to tell the stories that actually happened, but there's all this other stuff that happened in there too that you got to get rid of and bring
Mm.
it down to, and if it's on broadcast television, like Survivor was, you had to hit a very specific time. It'd be like you had to do 45 or 42 minutes and 15 seconds to the
Exactly.
frame. I mean, to the frame. So
Yeah.
you're like squish. Now with streaming, it's a little easier because you don't have
Right.
you have a little flexibility. But there was so much stuff. There were times when I didn't know how we were gonna deliver, get everything down to that. So there were many things that you kind of take out, but you just have to do it because it's got
And
to
then
go on
also
the air.
trying to hit commercial breaks and stuff.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so there's
I would be able to.
there's lots of stuff that you cut out that you wish could have made it in, but you just kind of do it
Do you
and
think
move on.
broadcast will still be around? And well, we should move to the future segment before I ask about that. Let's go across the pond, Naila.
Across the pond.
Let's go across the pond. So, Tom,
Mm,
the UK has its own kind of complicated relationship with the genre.
mm.
Like we've got Big Brother that started in Netherlands, then it landed in Britain. A few months before Survivor hit States, we talked about Love Island. We've got The Apprentice UK. I do like that one. Made in Chelsea. I do not watch that one. And a lot more public conversation now happening as a result of these reality TV shows. And, the human cost to it, the ethics, a lot that's coming to the table. What kind of duty of care, um, you know, do you have to think about when we're doing reality show? Is there a difference between UK and the US audiences and the casting and the duty of care?
Well, I don't know. It's all comes down to the individual producers, and I'm assuming this probably
Okay.
it holds true for the UK as well. In fact, I've adapted some UK shows over here, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it I feel it's the responsibility, yes, of the producers. And there's, like I said, there's different ways of producing things. I like to do things that you are taking these things into consideration.
Yeah.
And there are other producers that don't care as much about it. It just depends on who's doing it and what the format is that they're doing. I mean, I adapted a UK show uh, over here once. It was called The Baby Bar. You're gonna be horrified when you hear this. It was called The Baby Borrowers, and the whole thing was about
Oh, yeah.
young teenage couples who felt they were ready to get married. And it's like, okay, well, are you ready for parenthood? Let's give you real babies to take care of and see what happens. And it sounds crazy, but the producer who had created it in the UK was very meticulous about saying, no, this is a very safe social experiment where we really want to ask this question. There were so many safety measures in that these kids were safer on this show than they were at home, just because we had paramedics
Oh,
standing by. We had the parents watching everything. We had professional nannies following them around 24/7. We had, the kids, the teenagers weren't even allowed to put the car seats in the car. We had the fire department come and install the chairs, and they couldn't drive themselves. We had professional drivers driving. So it's about how you produce these things. And I think, that comes down to the producers and the people, the streamers or the broadcasters, what they're willing to, put on, and how they're, what are they interested in, or do they care about how, these things are produced. It's definitely the responsibility of the individual producers. And
yeah. I
like I
know
said,
that with love.
I lean towards the safer kind of thing, but there's many who don't.
Well, I know
don't care.
Naila's right now thinking about a show called The Toddler Borrowers
No,
because
no. Hey, my show
she's
was
like,
about
"Oh, that sounds
kids.
great."
My show was actually about kids with purpose. So all these YouTubers and influencers who
Mm,
are gaining millions on nothing. And I'm like, what are you learning? I'm more about what can you learn on reality. And also I'm very skeptical. I'm probably more in your bucket, Tom, because I'm always skeptical. Oh my God, the producer's probably telling them what to do. They've
mhm,
created this drama. This is not real. I might as well watch a movie than reality TV because it's
yeah,
just not real. Even
yeah,
like Apprentice UK, I laugh. I'm like, and my husband's always saying, listen, they're trying to make money. All right. Because I laugh at the people they've casted because how they just don't know how to get along with each other and use their
yeah,
brains.
yeah.
But so that comes to like the same point. What is the responsibility of the entertainment industry? I talk a lot about sustainability, right? So the
Mhm.
impact we have on the environment, the impact we have on society, how we can help improve things within the environment. What is the responsibility of the entertainment industry for the world, the planet?
Specifically about like in reality and unscripted, I mean, the responsibility I feel is still, just like I said, just the same as producers. Now, yes, everybody's trying to make money, but I feel that I don't know where that's going to lead, because there seems to be, at least over here, uh, it, there aren't a lot of new ideas coming out in
Uh-huh.
unscripted and reality. It's a lot of there are some shows that are being revived that were on 15 years ago, or there are
Mm.
elements of shows. There's a
Reboots.
lot, yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of right now here, a lot of outdoor adventure shows, as we call them, that are being produced. We're putting
Mm.
people in the
Mhm.
jungle, and it's just the same kind of things over and over. So I don't know what it's going to take. Some kind of a big breakout hit of a new type of reality show to sort of show, I think, where reality shows go. And I don't, and the networks and broadcasters and everybody are being conservative about producing or greenlighting new kinds of ideas. So I don't know where it's going to go
Mhm.
and what that means in terms of the responsibility that they're going to take. I mean, look, it's Hollywood. Yeah, everybody's it's always
Money.
gonna be about making money. So,
Right.
I don't know. I hope that that networks and streamers and distributors realize that there can be some really, um, uh, some shows that make them a lot of money that are original and are responsible. I don't know. I The whole business out here is wondering, where is everything going right now? So
Mm.
Yeah, that's what
it's an
Pepper was
odd
saying,
time.
that, the whole reality format is, there's not as much of that as there used to be. And the
Yeah, there's
ratings are
not as much
reflecting
new
that
stuff.
too. You know,
Mm.
you're seeing a lot more scripted series really
Mhm.
dominating the ratings, especially on the streaming networks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for the entertainment industry, like you don't have to have that impact as such in terms of social, but for me, the biggest impact is the voices and, the issues that you amplify or the actors that amplify issues and really back it. That makes a lot of difference, because
Yeah.
as me, a normal person on the street, I don't have the power to do that. So I think that's a
Mhm.
huge step that the entertainment industry is taking, or particular actors within it.
Yeah.
well, two
Yeah.
shows come to mind. One is Love on the Spectrum,
Mhm.
Mm.
um, which I presume is about people who are autistic. Is that correct?
I honestly haven't seen it, but I believe you're correct. Yeah, I think
Okay.
Mhm.
And then the other would be this one called Outlast, which is kind of like sort of a Survivor knockoff, or maybe a combination of Survivor and Naked and Afraid,
yeah,
where they just dump them in the middle of Alaska, with no food,
Oh my
um,
God.
only like just the most basic of tools, and they got to build shelters. And then the only really rule is you have to be on a team. So you can't just like go it alone. If you don't have a team, you're off the show.
yeah,
And so just the cutthroat nature of this, I'm just like, ugh, I don't like this. This
yeah.
is.
Yeah, and that there's always kind of been that in those competition shows. I mean, look,
Mhm.
Survivor was, yes, it was a very cutthroat competition, but again, depending on how you want to produce these, I mean, we always on Survivor loved the uplifting and aspirational stories too. We didn't
Yes.
want it to just all be.
Yes.
We wanted it to be more like a scripted drama or scripted film where you get all these highs and lows, and you do have heroes, and maybe
Mhm.
there's a
And
villain.
villains, we have to have a villain.
Yeah, yep, yep. Um, so again, it's just those shows are making a decision, that's all going to be about the cutthroat nature. I haven't seen that show, so but I know of it. It's again, it's just how you produce these things and how it, you know the industry gets very nervous about giving these people the power to tell stories because they're afraid that it's
Mm.
not going to be interesting. But I think if you take that approach, it can be. And if you tell all the stories, and you just need the right situation that they're in to tell either positive or cutthroat stories.
Well, I mean, there has been a couple, especially in like the sort of faith-based industry.
Mhm.
Thinking of, was it Angel Studios and
I'm not
Sing,
sure.
um, House of David and uh, the Jesus Story, that
Mhm.
I watched some of it, and I'm like, this is good. It doesn't matter whether you're Christian or atheist or
Mhm.
Muslim. I was like, this is just good quality, good stories, good entertainment. So,
Yeah.
positive messages,
Yeah.
plenty of violence and gore and romance too, if you need a little bit of that too. But ultimate message is something that's affirming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have anything? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it's you just need the people who are gonna distribute these shows and give you the money to do them, the streamers and the
Right.
broadcasters to say, "Okay, we'll give you the money to do those kind of thing."
Yeah.
Those ideas are out there. It's just
Yeah, they are. But, no one wants to spend, 10, 20, $50 million on something that's going to go on YouTube.
yeah, everybody's become
Netflix.
very averse. They do not wanna take risks now.
That's right.
But Netflix seems to be getting shows and all these Tinder Swindler. It's
Mhm.
real stories that become the shows, and I'm like, oh my God, these people have done wrong in society, and they made shows on them, and those shows are making money for them. So you can
Yeah.
be a bad person and still make money out of a show because it's been made on you. But Netflix seems to be investing a lot.
Oh, well, Netflix, yeah, they're one of the
Yeah,
biggest
they're the juggernaut
streamers.
now.
Yeah, yeah, they've,
Yeah.
my hope for and A24, the studio, obviously, they're not in they do have a reality TV division,
Mhm.
but, they're primarily feature film. My hope is for that kind of business model where a smaller studio, they're not that small anymore, but they come in and they're willing to take risks, and they're willing to have these
Mm,
new voices with new ideas and young people, and they're really reviving this business. They're their own studio. They're not owned by these giant,
Yeah.
conglomerates that are
MGM
just
or
about the bottom line. My hope for the business is that we see more of those A24s that come along
mm,
and are willing to take these chances and really be creative. I mean, there are creative things that are being done with the big studios
mm,
and big networks and
Mhm.
streamers, but it's harder to get those things sold to get your ideas sold to them because they just
mm.
they don't want to take those risks.
Nice
Shall we go
segue
to
to
the
the
future,
future.
Nyla?
Yeah. I
Okay,
was
we
going to
went a little
say
long in
that.
that segment.
The future.
So I'll make this quick. So, Tom, time to take out your crystal ball. And this is the part of the show we call the future. But for you, future is informed by 25 years of watching this thing evolve. So maybe we pull the camera a little bit back and then also start thinking about what the future would look like. What do you think reality TV got right about human nature and what it got wrong?
I think that it did get right, at least hopefully on the shows, at least some of the shows that I worked on, that there are aspirational stories out there. There are aspirational stories in, or individuals have aspirational stories in their real life. And, it's, we can put that on display. I think, what we got wrong, boy, I mean, like I said, it's hard to, the business is so diverse in the way people produce these things. But I think early on, especially, that, not having an eye on the care for some of these people who would go on these shows, and not like really being prepared for what it could mean to them emotionally and psychologically, depending on the show. I mean, I've always done shows where we really care about that, and we do a lot of psychological testing and that kind of thing before we put people on the air. But I think, creating this instant celebrity culture of people wanting instant celebrity that can be, a little tricky, and you've got to look at people. Not everybody does that in the business, or at least didn't in the old days, especially. So I think there are, great human stories to tell. And I think that it's great that we got to do that. And, but it didn't happen, across the board. And you have to think about what happens to these people after they've been on the shows. So I think maybe that still doesn't, happen as often as it should.
So what do you think Survivor would look like 10, 15, 20 years down the road? Because it's been on forever and don't see it being canceled anytime soon. What do you think? How do you think the show will evolve? How do you think this format will evolve?
Who knows? I mean, it's the thing about Survivor, which was originally, by the way, created by a British producer in the UK, named Charlie Parsons.
Yes.
What works about that show is just the format, this idea of, these people play against each other and have to survive and vote each other out. But at the end, those people that they voted out, they have to convince them to give them $1 million. That gameplay dynamic just works really well. So I think that will always be there, the gameplay. Now, how the show evolves in terms of, okay, do we try this in another setting? Does it go to, maybe we don't do them on a deserted island anymore. Maybe we come up with some other set. Maybe it's in space. I don't know. Who knows where that'll go? But that core element of the gameplay, I think, will always be there, because that's what has made it work for 26 years.
Survivor on Mars.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know how many people want that.
There were shows in the early days of Survivor. People were pitching shows of reality competition shows in outer space, and it actually happened.
Wow.
One day we will be in the Star Trek kind of world at some point in the future, right?
Indeed.
So it could be possible. Yeah.
One last question. Whether it be, what do you think the evolution of broadcasting cable will be like in the next 5 to 10 years? A lot of people have been talking about the declining ratings, on cable. People beyond cutting the cable, they're cutting like YouTube TV and these other streaming providers that are essentially giving you network content or cable content, and it's all moving to streaming.
Yeah, I wish I had the answer to that, because I could probably make a whole lot of money. That's kind of, everybody's trying to figure out what the future of this business is. I do think broadcasters have they're going to have a really tough time, just because of their model of this because it's advertisement based, and so there's the broadcasters don't want to take these risks with risky material. And when we do a show for broadcast, there's standards and practices where you can't say certain things, it can't be too offensive. And at least in streaming, you're free to kind of do whatever you want, which means good and bad. But the good part is that it allows for creativity. It allows for there's not these barriers. So I think people drift towards that because they're just seeing more stuff that's different than what they can. It's not the same old thing, that you see on
Right.
broadcast, and there
And
are some creative things being done. So I think I think broadcast it's going to be tough for sure.
yeah, I mean, because if you look at the viewership, with Nielsen ratings, it's like, I mean, just take the news for example.
Yeah.
If you're trying to capture that, 18 to 54 category, they don't consume news that way anymore. And literally the people that are watching, the evening news and that format, I mean, they're literally they're dying,
Well, when I was on Survivor, we, of course, you'd always the next day, you went right to the Nielsen's to see what did we do. And the top rated shows then, in terms of viewership, compared to what the top rated shows now are, like now, if you get 6 million viewers, you're a hit.
Yeah.
On Survivor, when I was there, we were getting 30 million people an episode. If we had gotten if we'd gotten 6 million,
Super Bowl,
you would have been off the air the
Super
next
Bowl
day.
level.
I mean,
viewership.
The viewership level now, you would have gotten canceled immediately back then. So yes, the viewership is, but it's also spread out now more because it's people are recording it and watching it other days. But still, even with that taken into consideration, yes, it's definitely. But a lot of these shows also have moved over to the broadcasters' platforms, their streaming platforms. So
Peacock, Paramount.
Exactly.
I
don't have Sky TV, so I don't get no broadcast, but I watch YouTube. Jimmy Kimmel, I watch on YouTube. Britain's Got Talent, I waited and I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't have normal Sky boxes anymore. I'm just on apps.
Yeah.
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 All right, Naila, you want to take us to the close?
We can close, and this has been
because
great.
we're at like an hour and 2 minutes.
I know, we could go on forever.
Tom's got
we didn't even
things to
scratch
do.
it. Yes,
I know. We always joke about having like the Joe Rogan format where we talk for 3 hours, and but we're not.
My baby
we're not interesting enough. So
your baby's banging on the door.
Yeah. She's been bribed with ice cream, so she's been quiet.
Well, that'll last for a while.
Thank you. So I know, and then I have to go and take care of her. But this has been great conversation. I've learned a lot. We could talk a lot more. Thank you for your time and trusting us with this conversation. And we hope that we can continue having conversations beyond the podcast.
Absolutely.
So, Tom, where would listeners find your work and what they should be looking out for from Steel Mills in the next year?
Boy, where would they find my work? All my past stuff is some of it is on different platforms. I think Netflix has one of my old shows, Love in the Wild. You can see all the old episodes of Survivor, I believe, on Paramount Plus, and then in the future, hopefully, one of these movies we actually get into production, and hopefully you'll be seeing those in the theaters. So everybody go to the theater.
You want to do
your theaters?
Yeah,
I love theater.
Yes.
Definitely starting to make a comeback post COVID. So
they are. Yeah.
Yep.
And movies that are beyond the Marvel universe.
Yes. I've noticed that the theater down the street from us did a whole renovation with the really nice seats, and it seems to be working. The people seem to be going back. I find myself going back much more.
Yeah.
That's what I always want. I love
screen.
going to the theater. Yeah.
Same here. And the popcorn and the big screen.
Yep.
Now
I do know Tom is on LinkedIn. But
Yes.
he has specifically said, do not pitch him any story ideas,
No.
including you, Quinn. I don't want to hear about your graphic design reality show on LinkedIn. So
Yeah, but now it's that you've put it out into the world. Now somebody's going to steal it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Copyright.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, Tom, thank you for joining us. You've been listening to Now, Near, in the Future. You can find us at nownearfuture.com, on YouTube and Instagram at Now, Near, Future, and we are on all the streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatnot, and you can just search for Now, Near, Future.
Lovely. And if today's conversation moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it and leave us a rating because it does make a difference.
As always, stay curious.
And see you in the future.
See you in the future.